Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this video breakdown, we're going to take a look at a blitz setup out of the formation called 3-4 tight that brings some A-gap pressure with just a four-man pass rush. The name of the play that we use for this video breakdown is called 3-4 Tight Saw Blitz Zero. Here's a look at the playbooks you can find this particular defense in. All right, before I get to the blitz setup that I want to show here as far as a four-man pass rush, what I want to do first here is just take a look at this defense without making any type of adjustments at all. Now, as you can see right here, it's a cover zero defense, meaning it doesn't have any defenders playing over the deep areas. So if your opponent knows how to beat these type of defenses, you're going to have a chance of being beaten pretty deep. It's a high risk, high reward defense. So be careful when you run these type of defenses. You're going to want to mix these in with other types of defenses that look almost identical to what you're setting up here. So with that said, let's go and take a look at the blitz here and see how this works without making any adjustments at all. And I will tell you that this guy right here, for the most part, is the one that you should end up getting most of the pressure as far as coming through this A-gap. It's pretty consistent without doing anything at all. So let's go ahead and run this. And right there, you can see he shoots through the A-gap and gets the pressure on the quarterback, which is nice. You know, you don't have to do anything. You can just come out, run it, and you can expect to get some type of pressure. Now, what I want to show you here is how to set this one up where you can definitely bring a lot of pressure on the quarterback and then get to him pretty quick. Now, first thing I'm going to do before I get to the four-man pass rush, I'm just going to show you something you can do to enhance it, to make it even quicker without having to make too many adjustments. So let's go ahead and do this first thing right off the bat. So again, you're going to spread the defensive line out, and then you want to go ahead and show blitz. This is what I'm about to show here on your screen. So you want to go ahead and show blitz. So let's go ahead and do that right there. And then the next thing you want to do is you're going to go ahead and call QB contain. So there's your setup right there. Now, as you look at it, it's pretty nice because you got this guy right here closer to the line of scrimmage now. And yet, because even with him closer to the line of scrimmage, he's still going to shoot through that A-gap and apply the pressure on the quarterback. So let's go ahead and run this. Now, I do want you guys to understand something too. Right now, as you look at the offensive side of things, I am sending everybody out. Later in the video breakdown, we're only going to send 4 out. And then we're still going to get the pressure on the quarterback. I want to point that out to you. But for now, we're just going to run it as is, just so I can show you guys the pressure. So we're going to go ahead and run it. And there he shoots through the A-gap. Now, this works against not only under center, but it also works against the shotgun formations. And we will take a look at one shotgun formation you can run this against, and the same thing will happen with it. So right there, you can see how that works as far as getting the pressure on the quarterback. We'll do it one more time here. So again, just going to go ahead and spread the defensive line out. Call show blitz. Call QB contain, and then that's just going to bring that guy up to the line of scrimmage. Everybody's pretty much going to get closer, and right there you can see that we're in a nice setup here. We got everybody closer, and we're still going to get that same A-gap pressure coming up the gap real quick as far as against the CPU. Even if I was to control the quarterback, let me do it one more time here. So same thing here. Get a little bit out of order as far as the setup, but it doesn't matter. As long as you get to that look, you're fine. All right, I'm going to take control of the quarterback this time. And you can see right there, I was in control of the quarterback and I still got sacked real quick. So at any rate, that's the setup right there without having to do too many adjustments. So you can go with the standard one where you don't do any adjustments at all, or you can go ahead and do what I just did there and make a few adjustments and still get some pressure on the quarterback. Now, the next one I want to show here as far as the setup goes is one that I feel is really, really good. And this is one I want to show here. Now, the other thing I want to point out too, I realize this is a 3-4 defense, and a lot of you guys may not want to run this against some of the spread formations. I get that because you got 4 linebackers out there, 3 defensive line. You only got 4 defensive backs. That's not good. But if you have a team that has really good players, 4 good defenders that you can run this with as far as the secondary, and maybe you have some fast linebackers, you might really get away with this a little bit more. So just keep that in mind because the pressure does come in pretty quick. All right, so let's continue on with the setup, this last setup I want to show here. So again, what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and call show blitz, QB contain, and then we want to spread the defensive line out. Now, this is where the fun comes at. All right, right now, I was talking about making this a 4-man pass rush. Now, as you look at it, what you got here is all these guys coming at. But there's 2 guys on there, 2 key guys here that you can actually hot route into one specific type of coverage where they actually still, where the blitz will still work. And I want to show that to you, at least from what I've seen as far as what I've practiced with it and kind of messed with it online. So the first one here is you're going to take control of this guy right here. Let me go ahead and show it to you. And it's this guy right here, which is going to be the right end here. As you look at it, you're going to hot route him into a 3 receiver hook, but it's actually a bluff blitz. So you want to put him into a bluff blitz, such as what I'm showing on the screen here. So we'll put him back in we'll just do the bluff blitz. You can see right there, I put him in a bluff blitz and he's there. Now the next guy you want to switch over to is this linebacker, this left outside linebacker. As you look at it, again, he's supposed to be rushing the quarterback. You notice I got him in QB contain. You can put him in this as well. Now, this is the guy that you're going to want to control. Don't switch back off to anybody else. Stay in control of this guy here because you can user him as far as what you want to do. So you can take control of him. And then if you want, you can drop him back into this area here. You can drop him back in here. You know, kind of want off the screen here a little bit, but you can drop him in all these different directions as you look at it. So there's a lot of things you can do with him. You just, whatever you want to do with him, you're in control of him. And you're just going to user him, and this is going to allow you to, you know, take away a lot of different things as far as what you want to do. All right, so there's the setup right there, and that's it. That is the setup as you look at it. So let's go ahead and run this, and I bet I still get that same type of pressure. See how that A-gap pressure comes in? 4-man pass rush. Matter of fact, let's go into the X and O's of the play and take a look at this, and then you can really see how this one works. All right, from the top down view, we can get a better idea of how the 3-4 tight saw blitz works as far as with the setup I'm showing here, as far as getting that 4-man pass rush. So if you look at this one, this is the guy that we're looking to get that pressure from, as I pointed out earlier. And all these setups I've been showing, from the basic one to the second one to this third one, we're going to still get this A-gap pressure no matter what. It's going to come through that A-gap, and we're going to get to the quarterback pretty darn quick with it. Now, the key to this one is, remember, we talked about hot routing these two guys right here, these two defenders, into basically 3 receiver hooks. So more or less you're doing a bluff blitz is what you want to do. You want to do this as a bluff blitz. So this guy's now going to, you know, he's going to fake the rush. He's going to come up here, fake the rush, and then he's going to drop back into this area here, or, you know, 3 receiver hook where he's got a cover going out on that, on the third receiver he would cover. I think it's, if I remember right, it's actually going to end up being the fullback who goes out. But at any rate, that's what it would be like right there. Now, the other guy that you're going to be in control of, which is going to be this guy right here. Now, this guy here is the one that is your flex defender as far as I'm concerned. This is the one that you want to use and take control of and drop him back anywhere in those coverages and take away whatever you can over the short middle of the field. So that's the nice thing about this one. So with that said, you're going to have these 4 defenders now rushing the quarterback. You're going to have these 4 right here coming after the quarterback with this setup I'm showing here. So let's go ahead and take a look at it a little bit more here as we go. And right there you can see it gets to that pressure. Now, the key to this, as we zoom in a little bit, is as you look at it right here, is this guy right here, the center. You'll notice that he's going to slide over and look to block this nose tackle. Okay, and then you also got this guy over here, this left guard. He's going to block out to the outside over towards this direction here, towards this guy right here, which is the right end. So there's what happens there, and it creates that nice gap to get that pressure. Now, as you look at it from out here, we got some nice coverage, and we get some pressure on it pretty darn quick. He doesn't really have any time to throw the ball. I mean, we're in there that quick. So that's the nice thing with this setup. Now what I want to do is I want to show this with a 6-man pass protection scheme where the fullback stays in the pass block. All right, this time we want to take a look at it where we have the same setup pretty much. The one thing we're not going to do is hot route the 2 other defenders that I had earlier dropping back in the pass coverage. This doesn't work quite as well when they end up having 6-man pass protection scheme for the most part. Sometimes you can still get in there even with that setup, but I wouldn't recommend it as much as what I'm about to show here. So with that said, let's go and take a look at it here. Now, the fullback, as I talked about earlier, he's the one that we're going to have stay in the pass block right here on the offensive end. So they've got 6 pass rushers, or excuse me, pass blockers staying in to block right there as you look at it. So there's your 6. Now, what we're looking for is to get that same type of pressure coming from this linebacker where he's going to shoot through this A-gap. But on occasion, we may end up getting it for somebody else as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that setup again. So this one here isn't the exact same setup in this sense. So we're going to go ahead and do this right here. First thing we want to do is call show blitz, and the next thing we want to do is just call QB contain. That's it as far as this setup. You start thinking your opponent's leaving the fullback to stay in the pass block, you may want to try this because you're going to get this result more often than not where you get somebody in. Even with that fullback staying in the pass block, you're going to probably get some with that. You may not always get that linebacker in there as far as him blocking, but you should get somebody in even with a 6-man pass protection scheme with what I'm showing here. So let's go ahead and do the same thing again here. So right there, and there's a QB contain. So there you go right there. There's your setup right there. And you should still end getting that same type of pressure from somebody. There we got it from the other guy. So somebody's going to get in, even with 6 guys in there, and it's still going to be pretty darn quick. So that's the nice thing about that one. Now you can try this if you want. You can go ahead and do this, which is the same setup that we did earlier, but you probably won't get the same pressure. And I mean, when I mean by the same setup, we don't hot route those 2 other guys into 3 receiver hooks or hook zone, or excuse me, bluff blitzes, but we still did what was that, the second blitz that we showed where we had just a 6-man pass rush. So there we go right there. And then we still get that pressure on the quarterback. So those are some of the things you can do that's going to allow you to get pressure even with the 6-man pass protection scheme. All right, I want to show you guys the last thing I want to do here is run this against a gun type formation. This we're going to run against the gun trips, tight end, offset. The name of the play that we're going to use is the verticals. So let's just go through this real quick. So again, you want to go ahead and call show blitz, QB contain, and spread the defensive line out. Now, just remember, it's not in any particular order. You can do it however you want, as long as you get it to look like this. So there's your setup. The other thing I did want to point out that I have the defense, as far as defensive flip, turned off. So just make sure if you're following along, definitely have the defensive line flipped off. Otherwise, our defense flipped off, because it's going to screw up their blitz if they were to do some, flipping their offensive plays and all that. But at any rate, there it is. There's the setup. Let's see what kind of pressure we can get here. It should come from 1 or 2 defenders. In this case, it comes from that linebacker. It shoots through that A gap. Now, you'll notice the one thing I didn't do there is I didn't make any other type of adjustments with that. That's because this works best if you don't start hot routing those other guys in those bluff blitzes I was talking about earlier. So let's do the same thing again here. The same setup. Now, on occasion here, this guy right here, which is the nose tackle, what may end up happening is this center may end up not blocking him and look to block that linebacker. If that does happen, then this nose tackle will be the one that gets the pressure on the quarterback. Now, that'll happen on occasion. You may see that happen as you're going through, there it goes right there. It actually happened. So you may end up seeing that happen on occasion right there. So just watch for that as you do this. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to go back to the setup where I have just a 4-man pass rush. I just want to show you it's not quite as effective, if even at all. It may not even work at all. So there it is right there. And there's your 4-man pass rush that we got. So let's take a look at this just one more time and see if we get in there. And right there, we really didn't get any pressure on the quarterback. It was just because the guy was able to break through. So that's it right there. I just want to point that out to you. Now, I'm not going to say that that doesn't work on occasion, because it does, but for the most part, it probably not going to work very often for you. All right, guys, that's it as far as this particular play, this 3-4 Tight Saw Blitz Zero. I appreciate you guys sticking around, listening to all this breakdown, but this is definitely one that you might want to check out. Again, there is some downsides to it, as I pointed out earlier. And when you come out in these type of formations here, especially these spread type formations or in the gun, you're going to have some mismatches. And that's the thing you got to watch for with here. Okay, there's going to be some times that you're going to have 4 defensive backs, and then you're going to have a linebacker matched up with somebody, and it may be a mismatch, and you may not end up winning that. So if you run this, just be aware of that, and also make sure you mix it in with some other type of defenses where it looks very similar to this. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for more Madden guides, strategy, and tips content. See you in the next video.